Hello everybody, this is my branded Shaddoll deck profile. This is a budget build. You can build this deck by basically buying by using cards from the Shaddoll Showdown Structure deck, which came out a couple of years ago, and the Alubers Strike Structure deck that came out earlier last year, mid last year. Let's start with the main deck. We will start off with 3 Springen's Kit. This is one of your starters. When it's when it's summoned, you can search for a branded spell or trap card or a card that mentions Fallen of Alubers, and add it from your deck to your hand, and then put a card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. Then 3 Keeper Dragon Magic. This is another starter, and this is like really spicy. You basically when you summon it, you can discard a card and search for a fusion spell or a normal fusion spell or a polymerization card and add it to your hand. Good ash bait. Now for our branded part of our branded package, 3 Fallen of Alubers, 1 Albion, and 2 Mercurier. Mercurier is basically a hand trap. Alubers just contact fuses with he super polys your opponent's monsters. For our Dogmatika package, 2 Ecclesia, 2 Fleur-de-Lis, 1 Maximus. Then and we play 3 Ash Blossom. Again, this card is a really good hand trap. It's become really affordable now thanks to Crystal Beast and the Trap Trick Structure deck that just came out. For our Shaddoll package, 1 Aerial to banish your opponent's monsters, a Windy to pull a monster, get a special summon a Shaddoll monster from your deck, Dragon to pop a spell and trap card, Hedgehog to search, Squamata to search for a monster, Beast to draw. That's your Shaddoll monsters. Now to the spells. 3 Branded Fusion. This is one of the better cards in your deck. This thing, you will base Ash Blossom screws this card over. You basically use Fallen of Alubers you can fuse with Fallen of Alubers from the deck. Then we have Branded Lost, which makes your fusion summons uninterruptible, and you also get to search after you fuse. Now and then 2 Shaddoll Fusion. If your opponent has a special summon monster, you can fusion summon from the extra deck from your deck with using materials from your deck. And then it also and then you have 2 Shaddoll Fusions for when you want to push for lethal. So, say you're in your in your battle phase, you attack with all your monsters, and you have this, and then you can activate this, fuse, and then you get an extra attack. We have 2 Nadir Servant, which I'll go over the targets in the extra deck a little later. It's for the Dogmatika side. Then 3 copies of Super Polymerization, because it breaks boards, it's spell speed 4, and your opponent can't respond to it at all. Then we have one copy of Shaddoll Schism. Shaddoll Schism is your gateway, is basically a quick window. Now we're going to move on to the extra deck. We have 2 Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. He is one of our boss monsters. He is one of our. He is probably our biggest boss monster. He can send a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, and he can banish a monster on the field. And also, when he's removed from the field, he can Raigeki your opponent's board. Then we have 2 Lubellion the Searing Dragon. He is basically he also fusion summons by you discard a card and you can return cards you return fusion material from either being banished or your graveyard back to the deck. So the play is to, when you branded fusion, you can send Shaddoll Beast, and Fallen of Alubers. You go for Lubellion. Then Lubellion's Lubellion's ability, and then you chain Shaddoll Beast's ability. You can Beast's ability will let you draw a card, and then you discard a card for Lubellion, and then you can return Beast and Alubers back to the deck. You can return. I take that my correction. You can return Lubellion back to the extra deck, and you return Alubers back to the deck and make your boy Mirror Jade. 2 Albion the Branded. Albion serves several purposes. First off, he also confusion summon Mirror Jade or another level 6 or higher, a level 8 or lower fusion monster. He doesn't return stuff; he banishes stuff. So he banishes materials, and then while he's in the graveyard, you can set a branded spell or trap straight from the deck at the end of the turn that he went to the graveyard. You have 1 Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon, because you have Dogmatika in this deck, as well as it helps you get over things, get over big beaters. 2 copies of El Shaddoll Construct. What this girl does is, if it battles a special summon monster, it destroys that monster without even damage calculation. And you also, when it's sent to the graveyard, you can get a Shaddoll spell or trap from your graveyard and add it to your hand. So basically, it recycles your like your opponent. Let's say your opponent pops your Schism, or you can recycle your El Shaddoll fusion, or your Shaddoll, or your plain Shaddoll fusion. Then you have 2 El Shaddoll App Colonne. App Colonne is a negation and a 25 beat stick, and she also searches out any Shaddoll card from your deck to your hand. Then 2 copies of El Shaddoll Window. This card just locks. This card just slows down the game. Your opponent can only both players can only special summon 1 time while this card is out. So it's basically a floodgate. When he's destroyed, when Window's destroyed, it's basically the same effect. You can target a spell. You can get a Shaddoll card from your deck, from your graveyard, and add it to your hand. We have 1 copy of Elder Entity Intis. Is basically a pop. It pops a card when it's sent to the graveyard. It pops a card. It destroys a card. So you can chain this with Nadir's Servant and Mirror Jade. And then last but not least, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. This card is it's a beater. I mean, if you want to play, it's a super poly target. If you want to play Predaplant Dragos Depelia, you are most welcome to do so. The deck it's all about opinion. It's player preference. Now, moving on to the side deck. The side deck is completely player preference. 3 copies of Jizukiru, the Star Destroying Kaiju. This is for the Kashtira matchup. I contribute my opponent. Kashtira is not fun to play against. I'll tell you that. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, which is also a Kashtira card. Anti for Kashtira, as well as it helps against several other matchups as well. We have 1 copy of Raw's Disciple, and that will go with the Branded Expulsion that will come later. Raw's Disciple basically locks your opponent out of special summoning, which is a big thing. Well, it locks you out of special summoning, but when you... I'll get to that. We'll circle back to this later. 3 Dark Ruler or more for going second and breaking boards. 2 Raigeki for going second and breaking boards. 3-dimensional barrier for the Kashtira matchup, the mirror match against the mirror matches against Branded, as well as a handful of others. Like any deck that any archetype that uses a specific extra deck summoning mechanic, like Sword Soul using synchros, Trap Tricks using Xyz and Link. The list goes on. This is good. Then Branded Expulsion. Circling back to Disciple or any other card like Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, which is what people are currently using, but Raw's Disciple is a decent budget option. You can also it's all arguable that you can use Destiny Hero Dark Angel. But Branded Expulsion, when you activate it, you can target you can return a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Alubers as its material. Then you can target a 2 card. You can target a Fallen of Alubers and another card in your graveyard and special summon 1 to each side of the field. So you summon your Alubers, and then you special summon Raw's Disciple to their side. They cannot special summon while Raw's Disciple is out on the field. So you basically You can basically floodgate them for a turn. I mean, this also used to work with Artifact Scythe before it got banned. Other than again, this deck is meant to be a budget deck. The Dogmatika package is really not that expensive. All you really need is the cards from the Shaddoll deck, the cards from the Alubers Strikester deck, the Dogmatika package, and a handful of other staples that are not very expensive. Altogether, I would say this build would run you about 150, give or take. Between 130 and 150, give or take, which makes it very budget. It did lose to Kashtira, but Kashtira is just OP. But that was the deck. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know in the comments what you would change. Of course, before anyone says anything, you can easily swap out the kits for Alubers and run a branded package. Not branded package, a Despia package if you wanted to. But kit is the budget option. Kit is a real budget option. I also have a branded Despia deck, which I will do shortly. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I don't sound too confident. Thank you.